I upgraded a major key comic in today's comic book mail haul. Stay tuned as I reveal that book as well as what else I've been picking up recently. Welcome back, comic book fans. It's Rusty again with Collector Auctions, and in today's episode, we have a good old-fashioned comic book mail call for you. We've got several books that I've been picking up recently, some nice keys, especially one that I ended up upgrading from a previous grade as well. So that's the big reveal for today. But before we begin, definitely hit that like button, slap the subscribe, and click on that notification bell so you guys don't miss out on any of my episodes that I put out each and every week, Mondays and Fridays at 10 a.m. All right, guys, sit back and let's get into the books.
Yes! Yes!
All right, so I said it was going to be a comic book mail call for you today, but it's not 100% comic books. Let me show you a couple of other things that I've picked up. Both of these came from Amazon. In fact, they are Amazon exclusives. And let me show you this. It is the Bucky Barnes Civil War Winter Soldier Funko. And this right here this is part of that build a set from the Civil War movie that they've come out. I think what it is they're reproducing some of the ones that they've done in the past, because they'd already had Civil War Bucky Barnes Funkos out there, but this is part of a build a set. So they're trying to get everybody to buy these all over again, and they have platforms that all kind of interlock together. So I picked up, because I'm a big fan of the Winter Soldier from the movies, I picked up that, and this right here, the Black Widow one as well. And I'm a sucker for the Black Widow Funko Pop. I probably have more of that character than any other Funko that I have right now. I just love these things. I love the Black Widow as a character, and so I continue picking these up. And I'm looking on the back here, and you can see that they've got a whole set of these. And I think they're all out at this point. But I am really only going to get these unless the other ones go on sale, definitely below that $10 mark on Amazon. Now this, I probably paid just a little bit more than that because, as I said, Black Widow fan. But the other ones, if they drop down a little bit, I may collect some of the other characters. I probably would like to get the Vision one, because I did go in heavy on the Funkos from the WandaVision TV series. So I've got all the different variations of Vision, as well as the Scarlet Witch. So I should include both of those, because that is probably the next most popular characters I've got in my Funko collection. Now, I am not a big Funko guy. I only buy characters that I kind of really like, and only if they're pretty affordable. I don't go out of my way, except for once at the end of last year when I bought some Uncle Scrooge Funko Pops from one of my favorite LCSs here in the Baltimore area. But that was what we began with. But today's video is going to be about the comics and about some pretty decent keys. So let's just start off with what I've picked up recently. These first two came from eBay. So let me start with the one here. And as I was putting this together, I realized that I haven't done a CGC unboxing in the longest time, and I had almost considering this episode a CGC unboxing, but it is not a submission to CGC. It is not a unboxing from CGC, so I opted to focus a little bit differently. But it's been a while since I've actually had a slab up here. I've set this set up as mostly a CGC platform because it sets up really well there. I framed this whole shot out so a CGC slab will sit here really nicely. So when I was doing this, I realized, man, I haven't done a CGC unboxing in the longest time. And if you guys caught one of my videos from a while back ago, I told you that that was my last CGC order. In fact, that was up until today, where I finally submitted another order to CGC. So it's been months and months since I have actually had a CGC order or even an unboxing. But I'm rambling right now. Let's get to this book right here. It is Something's Killing the Children, #1, 4th print, and 9.8. And this book has really dropped over the last couple of years. This is a book that saw heights as a 9.8 up to at least $570 back in 2021. Of course, that was during the COVID and the peak of people buying stuff, and the popularity of this book just kind of really exploding as well. Still a really popular book, but I will tell you, I've looked at buying over the last couple of years. I kept trying to buy a raw of this, and today, and I'm not going to get into necessarily exact prices or anything, but I will say that I bought this 9.8 for well below what is market value right now, which is $130, believe it or not. I picked this up well below that, and even almost as much as I was going to pay even a couple years ago for a raw version for a potential 9.8. So I'm glad I didn't pick it up then. I'm kind of glad I picked it up now, though. And hopefully we'll see some movement on this on the entertainment front. Maybe we'll finally get a show, we'll get some news or something. But man, for such a popular book, you just don't hear anything about it, even though the book is still continuing. I will be sending this book in for a signing with Jenny Frison, but not the one at CGC. I'm actually going to send it to Capture Collectibles, who will be at C2E2, where Jenny Frison, James Tinian, and Werther Deladera will all be at. I'm going to have them take that Jenny Frison cover, not this one, and have all three of them get that signed. That's my favorite cover. But this is one I'm happy to have in the PC right now. But if we get news and this becomes popular again, or even more popular, and it actually increases in value, I wouldn't mind parting with this. So, not a bad book to start off with right here. All right. The next one is a big key, and in fact, you saw me reveal I bought a really decent raw copy of this from Infinity Auctions, or Infinity Comics Auctions from hipcomic.com, and I took a chance. I didn't spend a lot of money on it, and it's not going to get to, I don't think it'll get to this level of this right here. Once I get it cleaned and pressed, I don't think it'll get to this, but let me show it to you. I picked up a graded version of Miss Marvel #1. I bought a 9.6, and I'm really happy with a 9.6 from a book that comes from January 1977. Good value on this. I picked this up below fair market value. Right now, fair market value is about $210. I definitely picked it up below that, and it had seen heights as well. Back in even 2018, well before the boom, this book right here as a 9.6 actually hit $856. That's kind of hard to believe. But what a great book. I'm glad to have a 9.6 in the collection. I've kind of gone back and I'm buying some of these mid to late 70s, early 80s books with some of the strong female characters that I sold raw copies of. I sold my raw of this back during the peak, during the boom back in 2021. And I sold my She-Hulk #1. I sold my Spider-Woman #1, Red Sonja #1. I sold all those as raws and did pretty decently for raw copies at that time. But here I go again. I'm trying to get these things back in my collection, and I want them better. I want to have a better collectible in my possession, whether it's for me to keep or for me to pass down to my daughter at some point. And I think a 9.6 is really acceptable. I will always continue looking for raws that I can possibly compress and get a better grade maybe, but for the PC, I think this is a really good value. I did replace the Spider-Woman #1. I did have a 9.6 on that. I do have some raws of She-Hulk #1, but I haven't got them graded yet. And I think they may grade out, well, at least one of those three may grade out to be at least a 9.6 as well. But those, again, will be for the PC. And that's a book that's really dropped as well. No thanks in part to that TV show last year. Anyway, real happy to have this as a 9.6. Couldn't be happier right now. All right, so honestly, guys, it's going to be a very short video today. I've only got one more item left, and it's the big book that I upgraded. I talked about at the very beginning. And why is it so short? Well, the truth is, sitting over there, I literally have more comic books over there that I could have included in this comic book haul, and today's video would have went way long. But those comics are coming from Infinity Comics Auctions, and I've been doing so much buying from them recently that I decided to set it apart from this kind of a generic comic book haul video. So you'll have to stay tuned and see what else I've been picking up from Infinity Comics. It has been my go-to place most recently. Have not been buying a lot from Whatnot, from eBay, even Heritage Auctions, which brings us to the last book. I did finally buy something from Heritage Auctions this year. I think it's only the second thing I've bought all year, which is really good for my wallet because I've spent a lot of money picking up really great books from Heritage Auctions, whether they were Rawls or whether they were graded books. But let's do the big reveal, and I'll talk about what I upgraded from to get to this. This is a book that I had growing up from 1974. I didn't sell it, but it's still a reading copy in my collection at someplace. But I had been wanting to get this as at least an 8.5. And I settled on one from Heritage Auctions last year, end of last year at some point, for an 8.0, which I thought was actually at a really good price. So what you know now, the clue is it was an 8.0 that I had. I wanted to upgrade it to at least an 8.5, and it was still reasonably priced and still have it reasonably priced at an 8.5. I didn't want to, I could have gone out there and spent another $100 and picked up an 8.5, heck, even a 9.0, but it starts to get even more expensive. But let me show you the book. I was actually picking up the wrong book here. Let's actually do the right book. It is Marvel Premiere, number 15, the first appearance of Danny Rand, Iron Fist. And I had an 8.0 of this. And I bought it because it was a decent price. It got me in that neighborhood at the time. And the reason I wanted an 8.5 is I actually was watching an Elite Comics 11 live Instagram show here a while back, where I think they were at a store in Tennessee or Kentucky on site, and I put in a winning bid for an 8.5 of this, and it was a super cheap bid that they accepted. But what I noticed that after the show, I never got contacted after that. And I think what they looked at is like, oh my God, we can't sell this. Let's just ignore it. And I let it go at the time because it's fine. Fine. If you don't want to deal with me, I won't come back to you for a while. In fact, I haven't done anything with Elite Comics 11 since that point. It could have just been an honest mistake, but it set me on the path to wanting to get this as an 8.5, which is what I wanted to begin with, at least an 8.5, at a price that was close to what I put in for that bid. Now, I will tell you that I did not do that exactly on this because I ended up spending a little bit more than that, and then because it's Heritage Auctions, you've got buyer's premium, shipping, taxes, credit card fees, and then it takes it up to where the book is kind of in the fair market value. So if you go on to Go Collect and you want to see how much I paid for this, I'm not going to talk about that exactly. I will tell you that I did get this for below market value, even with the added fees and everything. But I got the book, and I was happy. I'm finally happy to have this at the grade I really wanted in the PC. Again, it wasn't quite the price I was going to get from Elite Comics 11 and the store that they were at, but still pretty happy with this because I got it for definitely well below market value. Now, let me talk about that for 1 second. As I said, you could go to Go Collect, and you can see the prices, the most recent prices, and I have one of the lowest prices that this book has gone for as an 8.5 that they will track. But that's not the real price. And that's something I want to bring up right now, is that if you go to any price on Go Collect and you see where it's coming from, you see the price that it's sold for. But what you're not seeing is all the things I talked about before, the shipping, the buyer's premiums, the credit card fees. So when you see the price I have on there, you almost have another $50 in fees on top of that. And I think it's real disingenuous to, if you go to a show and you see a price and you pull up your app and you say, well, this book, fair market value, the last one just sold for $250. Well, not really, because there was a lot more fees that went on top of that. So I don't know if that's something that people even really notice in the community. You can't just say this is, and I'm just using $250 as an example. That's not what I paid, but it wasn't. There's another $50 on top of that, basically, with all the fees from Heritage and everything. So Yeah, it's a little frustrating because when you see those prices, it's not exactly the price that really is going. So, what is the real true market value for this? I'm not really sure. All I know is that I did pay, in the end, I did pay for below fair market value for this at this point. So, anyway, I'm rambling. Hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. It's real short. I only had 5 items and only 3 of them were comics. But I hope you liked what I picked up. Definitely leave me a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you think of everything I picked up. And what do you think of this book right here as an 8.5? Is that a grade that would be acceptable in your collection? I mean, I made the Miss Marvel, I had to have a minimum of a 9.6. But this one right here, I was happy to have an 8.5. So we'll see. Maybe someday we'll upgrade that as well. But until then, definitely thanks for watching today, and I will see you for the next episode. Just remember, guys, every comic has a story.